trying something new today. Get excited. Hey Internet, my name is Jeff and I'm a pastor. And the other day I had a conversation with somebody that started off basically by saying, Jeff, context, context, context. You always talk about context. Can't somebody just pick up the Bible and start reading it anymore? And the answer is, of course. But it helps to have some context. And so I'm trying something new today. I'm going to start a new series of videos that we'll revisit periodically, so maybe you won't see one next week. Maybe you will. I don't know. Haven't planned that far ahead. But I want to have this series to revisit from time to time, and this series is one that we are going to call Who Cares About Context? And what I want to do in these videos is to take a look at a passage and see that, yeah, of course, we can just read it, but with just a tiny little bit of context, with just the smallest little bit of information, sometimes it can crack a passage wide open and teach us something that we never thought we could learn from a particular passage. So today, let's take a look at James chapter 2, and we're going to be taking a look at verses 1 through... Go to verse 4. James 2, 1 through 4. My brothers and sisters, do you, with your acts of favoritism, really believe in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ? For if a person with gold rings and fine clothes comes into your assembly, and if a poor person in dirty clothes comes in, and if you take notice of the one wearing the fine clothes and say, have a seat here, please, while to the other one, to the poor one, you say, stand there or sit at my feet, have you not made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? All right, there's the passage. Seems like kind of a straightforward thing. You know, don't show partiality. If somebody comes into church wearing nice clothes, don't treat them any differently than the one wearing shabby clothes. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. But let's introduce just one little bit of context here, one little bit of information here that's going to crack this passage wide open. And it's this. When the early Christians would get together, typically when someone was teaching, they would sit, and everybody else would stand around them, and that teacher's disciples would sit at their feet. That's it. That's the only context that you need. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that in ancient worship services, it was kind of the opposite of what we have now. Usually the teacher stands in front of everybody while everybody sits, but it was the opposite in ancient worship. The teacher would sit, everybody else would be standing around them, and this is important, the teacher's disciples would sit at their feet. Like the interns basically would sit at the teacher's feet. Now, let's look back at this passage. If a person with gold rings and fine clothes comes into your assembly, and if a poor person with dirty clothes comes in, and if you take notice of the one wearing fine clothes and say, have a seat here, please, let's stop there. What's James trying to say? He's trying to say, ooh, you've taken notice of the one wearing fine clothes and gold rings, and you have invited him to sit here. What does that mean? It means, oh, this guy has fine clothes and gold rings. By the way, maybe another bit of context, if somebody was wearing a gold ring, it usually meant that they were in the higher echelons of Roman society, maybe even a senator. So if somebody comes in and they have clout, and you take notice of that clout and they're wearing fine clothes, you invite them to sit. In other words, you look at that kind of person and you say, ooh, I have something to learn from them. I want to make them my teacher. Let's go back to the text. Well, to the one who is poor, you say, stand there or sit at my feet. Okay, so let's stop there. The poor person comes in, and what is James saying that people would typically say to the poor people? Oh, sit at my feet. In other words, you have something to learn from me. Or stand over there. Again, you have something to learn from us. See, if we read this passage without any context, then maybe we can say, oh yeah, you're giving the good seats to the rich people and the bad seats to the poor people. Well, that just seems terrible. And that's true. But with the context, James is asking us a deeper question, which is, who are you willing to learn from? And who do you look at and assume, oh, they have so much to learn from me? Are you only looking at people who have some sort of, I don't know, external clout or something like that and saying, oh, they have so much to teach me, while ignoring the stories and the lessons that you might have to learn from somebody who might look like, I don't know, an unconventional teacher, maybe somebody who's poor? See, what James is actually asking his readers is, are you willing to learn from an unconventional source? Are you willing to look at everyone and say, ooh, I might have something to learn from them. They might have something to teach me, rather than the opposite, looking at the world and saying, oh, people have so much to learn from me. James is saying, what's your posture? What's your posture towards the world? What's your posture towards everybody that you look at? Is it, they have so much to learn from me, or I have so much to learn from them, even if they look like an unconventional source of wisdom? So that's it for this week. Very quick passage, very quick, tiny bit of context that you see opens the thing up, opens the passage up in a new and exciting way. So don't underestimate what just a little bit of context can do for a passage. Look things up that you don't know. Read an article. Read a new book from a different perspective. Try something new to get just a little bit of context that'll open these passages wide open for you. That's it for this week. Thanks so much, everybody. I did it again. I clapped. I've been trying so hard not to clap at the end of my videos because somebody pointed that out, but there it is. That's it, everybody. No clap. Grace and peace be with you.